You probably think you know all the legendary pickup truck brands in America: Ford, Chevrolet, Dodge. But what if I told you there were dozens more, brands you've likely never even heard of? Names like Studebaker, Diamond T, and REO once roamed American roads, building pickups that were tough, beautiful, and sometimes way ahead of their time. Some even pioneered features before the big names caught on, like four-wheel drive, long before the Jeep became iconic. In today's video, we'll dive into 12 forgotten pickup truck brands that quietly helped shape America's automotive history. Each one has a fascinating story, from innovation to extinction, from battlefield to farmland. So buckle up, because this journey into the past is about to uncover some of the rarest names in pickup truck history. And you won't believe they ever existed. Studebaker. If you've ever seen a pickup with a rounded, rocket nose front end and dual headlights mounted like robotic eyes, there's a good chance it was a Studebaker. Studebaker wasn't just a car company, it was one of the oldest vehicle manufacturers in America, starting with wagons in the 1850s before moving into automobiles in the early 20th century. By 1929, they were building pickup trucks and doing it their own way. Studebaker pickups were distinctively styled, sleek grilles, wide cabins, and even some early examples of crew cabs, something rare back then. The Studebaker 2R series, introduced in 1949, stood out with its streamlined aero design, rugged durability, and practicality for farmers and tradesmen alike. But Studebaker's problem wasn't the product, it was the business. Despite being loved by rural America, they struggled to compete with giants like Ford and Chevy. In a desperate move, they merged with Packard in the mid-1950s, hoping to stay afloat. Sadly, it wasn't enough. By 1963, Studebaker shut down pickup production for good. The name faded into history, leaving behind only rusted emblems, vintage brochures, and a few surviving trucks cherished by collectors. International Harvester. Mention International Harvester, and most people think of tractors or harvesters, but few realize they once rivaled Jeep in the world of pickups and off-road vehicles. Starting in the late 1940s, IH rolled out light-duty pickups like the L Series and R Series, celebrated for their rugged reliability and ability to endure harsh working conditions. But the real game-changer arrived in 1960, when they introduced the IH Scout, a compact 4x4 SUV that beat the Ford Bronco and Chevy Blazer to the market. At the same time, IH also launched the Travelette, one of America's very first crew cab pickups. With seating for a full crew and the ability to haul cargo, the Travelette was the blueprint for today's full-size workhorses like the Ford Super Duty and Ram Mega Cab. Despite forward-thinking design and dependable performance, IH ran into serious financial issues in the 1970s. By 1980, they ceased all consumer vehicle production, including pickups and the Scout SUV, to focus on agricultural equipment and commercial trucks. Today, the International Harvester legacy lives on under Navistar, and surviving Scouts and Travelettes have become collector treasures, reminders of an era when tractors could become off-road legends. REO Motorcar Company. REO Motorcar Company might not ring a bell today, but its founder, Ransom E. Olds, was one of the key pioneers in America's automotive history. After leaving Oldsmobile, he launched REO in 1904 and quickly turned it into a respected name in the truck and light-duty vehicle world. Unlike many automakers, REO didn't chase the passenger car market. Instead, they focused on light and medium-duty trucks, where they carved out a solid niche. REO pickups from the 1930s and 1940s were known for their toughness, sturdy construction, and industrial styling, often used by fire departments, the military, and public works fleets. One standout feature was their clipper nose design, a long, narrow front end resembling a train engine, very different from the boxy designs of Ford or Chevy. Though not produced in huge numbers, REO trucks were praised for their reliability. After World War II, REO began to fade. In 1957, they merged with Diamond T to form Diamond REO trucks, shifting focus to heavy-duty rigs. By 1975, the REO name disappeared entirely. Diamond T, in the world of vintage trucks, if REO stood for ruggedness, then Diamond T represented elegance and refinement. Founded in 1905 by C.A. Tilt in Chicago, Diamond T earned a reputation as the Cadillac of trucks, a nod to its premium design and exceptional build quality. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, Diamond T built not only heavy-duty rigs, but also some of the most beautiful Art Deco-styled pickups ever made. These trucks featured rounded cabs, chrome grills, elegantly scripted logos, and even leather-trimmed interiors, unheard of for pickups at the time. But these weren't just pretty faces. Diamond T trucks were tough and capable, powered by Hercules or Continental inline-six engines, rear-wheel drive, and cargo beds in either wood or steel, designed to serve both blue-collar workers and businessmen with style. After World War II, the truck market became more competitive. In 1958, Diamond T merged with Rio to form Diamond Rio Trucks, shifting focus to heavy-duty vehicles and ceasing pickup production. Today, a surviving Diamond T pickup in good condition can fetch tens of thousands of dollars. Willys Overland. When people hear Willys Overland, they usually think of the legendary World War II Jeep. But after the war, Willys didn't stop at military vehicles. They expanded into the civilian truck market with rugged, no-nonsense pickups. In 1947, Willys introduced the Willys pickup truck, a tough, square-bodied 4x4 with a steel bed, a sturdy ladder frame, and a four-cylinder Go Devil engine. With only around 63 horsepower, it wasn't fast, but its off-road capability and reliability made it a favorite among farmers, hunters, and mountain folk. More than just a utility vehicle, the Willys pickup served as a symbolic bridge from war to peace, a war machine repurposed for civilian life. In the early 1950s, Willys Overland was acquired by Kaiser Motors and eventually laid the foundation for the Jeep Gladiator, Hudson Motor Car Company. Hudson made a name for itself in the 1940s and early 50s with high-performance sedans like the Hudson Hornet, a NASCAR legend. But few know they also built a unique pickup, the Hudson Big Boy. Introduced in the late 1930s, the Big Boy was an unusual fusion of sedan and truck. Built on a passenger car chassis but extended in the rear to include a cargo bed, it kept the front styling, soft suspension, and comfortable cabin of a sedan. Quite the contrast to the rugged, body-on-frame pickups from Ford or Dodge. While never a mass-market hit, the Big Boy carved out a niche appeal. Refined, smooth driving, yet still capable of hauling light loads. It was aimed at urban professionals and tradesmen who wanted a working truck with dignity. After merging with Nash in 1954 to form American Motors, Hudson stopped building pickups. By 1957, the Hudson brand disappeared altogether. Kaiser Motors. In 1953, Kaiser acquired Willys Overland and soon rebranded it as Kaiser Jeep. Instead of scrapping the brand, they reinvested in its strongest assets, especially Jeep's tough 4x4 pickups, already popular with farmers and the military. During the 1950s and 60s, Kaiser expanded the Jeep Gladiator line, a modern pickup platform available in multiple configurations: short bed, long bed, single, and crew cab. The Gladiator marked a shift from rugged workhorse to comfortable utility truck, laying the groundwork for today's SUV pickup hybrids. Kaiser also took Jeep pickups global, building them in Argentina, Brazil, and Australia, extending the reach of the American 4x4 far beyond US borders. By 1970, Kaiser sold the Jeep brand to American Motors, Nash Motors. In the 1940s and early 1950s, Nash introduced models like the Nash Suburban and Rambler wagon, compact unibody station wagons with rear cargo areas that folded flat for hauling. While they didn't have separate truck beds, their utility and ease of use made them a practical alternative to full-size pickups for light-duty needs. Nash emphasized fuel efficiency, aerodynamic styling, and comfortable interiors, features that stood in contrast to the rugged simplicity of most pickups at the time. This approach appealed to urban professionals, small business owners, and families needing a do-it-all vehicle. In 1954, Nash merged with Hudson to form American Motors Corporation, ending Nash as an independent brand. Still, its philosophy of blending wagon practicality with cargo hauling ability lived on in vehicles like the AMC Eagle and today's crossovers. Crossley. Crossley might be the smallest name on this list in both brand size and vehicle dimensions, but don't underestimate it. Crossley was one of the first US companies to produce mini, fuel-efficient pickups long before the compact truck trend took off. Founded by Powell Crossley Jr., a radio tycoon turned car maker, Crossley embraced the philosophy of small, affordable, and efficient vehicles. From 1939 through the early 1950s, they built several microcars, including pickups like the Crossley pickup and the quirky Fargo Road, a hybrid of ATV, Jeep, and mini tractor. The Fargo Road had 2 seats, tiny wheels, high ground clearance, and a 12-horsepower, 2-cylinder engine. It could haul goods, climb rough terrain, and even tow light farm tools, essentially a mini workhorse. While its looks were unusual, for small farmers, it was an economical and creative solution. Crossley ended vehicle production in 1952, but its legacy remains as a pioneer of the mini truck segment, far ahead of its time. Checker Motors. Checker Motors is best known for its iconic taxicabs that roamed the streets of New York for decades. But few know that Checker briefly experimented with pickups, producing a tiny number in a very short window. In the 1950s, Checker built a few Checker Model A pickups based on an extended version of its sedan chassis. The pickups retained Checker's boxy design, upright glass, and wide doors, but replaced the rear seating area with a steel cargo bed. These trucks weren't aimed at the general public. They were mostly built for in-house use, local businesses, or city utility fleets needing a light-duty urban hauler. Only a few hundred were ever made, and today they are nearly extinct. Though not a commercial success, the Checker pickup is a quirky chapter in the company's story, showcasing its flexibility in design and manufacturing. For collectors, finding an intact Checker pickup is like discovering buried treasure in the world of American vintage vehicles. DeSoto. DeSoto was a Chrysler sub-brand, known for its curvy, upscale sedans in the 1940s and 50s. But few realize that DeSoto also sold pickup trucks, mainly in Mexico and South America, not in the US. In the 1950s, Chrysler used the DeSoto badge to rebrand Dodge-based pickups for export markets. These trucks often shared bodies with Dodge Power Wagons, but featured unique DeSoto grills, badges, and sometimes modified engines to suit regional needs. In Mexico, DeSoto pickups were assembled locally and became popular among farmers and small business owners. Yet due to limited production and minimal promotion, these pickups remained nearly invisible in Chrysler's official North American history. When Chrysler discontinued the DeSoto brand in 1961, the pickups vanished along with it. Fargo. Fargo is a truck brand you rarely see in the US, but it was once familiar across Canada, Australia, the Middle East, and parts of Latin America. What's fascinating is that Fargo was essentially a twin to Dodge, both owned by Chrysler. Starting in the late 1930s, Chrysler created the Fargo brand to serve markets where Dodge dealerships already existed, avoiding internal brand conflicts. Fargo pickups were mechanically identical to Dodge trucks. Same engines, same chassis, differing only in badges and minor trim details. In Canada, Fargo was built by Chrysler Canada, while in other regions, the trucks were assembled locally from completely knocked-down kits. Despite being twins, Fargo often had stronger brand recognition in these regions simply because the name was more established there. Fargo lasted until the early 1970s, when Chrysler phased it out in favor of unifying under Dodge. Today, finding a Fargo truck in the US, though time may have buried them in the past, brands like Studebaker, Diamond T, and Fargo remain essential pieces of American pickup truck history. Each name tells a unique story, from innovation far ahead of its time to quiet, undeserved extinction. We often remember Ford, Chevy, or Dodge when we think of pickups, but behind the spotlight were dozens of other companies that helped shape what a pickup truck is today, before quietly fading into obscurity. If you've ever seen, or even owned, one of these forgotten pickups, we'd love to hear your story in the comments. These old machines aren't just steel and bolts. They're memories, milestones, and relics of an era long gone. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss any future deep dives into the weird, wonderful, and legendary world of classic trucks.